Today is Friday, August 5th. We'll tell you why the U.S. has now declared monkeypox a public health emergency, what federal charges police officers are now facing for the raid that killed Breonna Taylor 2 years ago. And he called Sandy Hook a hoax, how much Alex Jones now has to pay a victim's parents. Plus, a medical breakthrough that has some scientists questioning the meaning of death, which two popular streaming services are joining forces, and how history was made in space this week in multiple ways. Those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. It is official now. Monkeypox is considered a public health emergency across the United States. The Biden administration made the declaration this week as the CDC's total of reported cases topped 7,000. With this declaration, health agencies can collect more data about cases and vaccinations, get vaccines out faster, and get better access to emergency funds. It should also make it easier for doctors to prescribe treatment. Remember, symptoms of monkeypox include distinct bumps, fatigue, fever, and swollen lymph nodes. So far, it's mostly been spreading among men who have sex with men, but anyone can get it. American health officials still think they can stay ahead of it with testing, vaccines, and treatment. Testing has increased from 6,000 tests a week in May to 80,000 now. So far, the U.S. has distributed 600,000 doses of a monkeypox vaccine, though experts say there is still a shortage. There's also an antiviral treatment the U.S. has been stocking up on, but for now, it's only being given to people with severe cases. You can learn a lot more about monkeypox on tomorrow's special edition Saturday episode. You will hear directly from a doctor who got the disease himself, and we talk with an epidemiologist who helps separate fact from fiction. A Russian court has now made a decision about American basketball player Brittany Griner. The WNBA star was sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison camp for bringing drugs into the country. Griner's already been in a Russian custody for 6 months now, ever since law enforcement found vape cartridges with less than 1 gram of cannabis oil in her luggage. As she walked out of the court in shackles yesterday, Griner said one thing: "I love my family." Her lawyers plan to appeal. ESPN cited sources who say Griner just wanted the trial to be over since she knew Russia would not move forward with a trade that could bring her home until that was done. U.S. and Russian diplomats have been discussing a potential prisoner swap, but nothing is certain yet. In a statement yesterday, President Biden called Griner's sentence unacceptable and promised the U.S. government would, quote, work tirelessly and pursue every possible avenue to bring her home. 4 police officers are now facing federal charges for the raid that killed Breonna Taylor more than 2 years ago. You probably remember this case. It sparked passionate protests around the country about racial justice and police brutality. Taylor was the Black woman in Kentucky who was shot and killed by officers who were not in uniform, but were serving a search warrant looking for drugs in her apartment. Well, flash forward to this week. The U.S. Justice Department charged former and current police officers with violating Taylor's civil rights, excessive use of force, and more. A lot of it has to do with the warrant the officers got to search Taylor's home in the first place. The Justice Department says officers were untruthful to get the warrant, and that after the raid, they came up with a plan to lie about what happened. They now face up to life in prison. So far, no comment from the officers or their lawyers. And the local police union just reminded everyone that the officers are innocent until proven guilty. But Taylor's family praised the new development, calling it overdue. The conspiracy theorist who for years said the deadliest school shooting in American history was a hoax is now being held financially liable for the first time. A jury said Infowars host Alex Jones will need to pay more than $4 million in damages to the parents of a 6-year-old boy who was killed at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. And that is just the beginning. The jury still needs to decide how much he should pay the parents of another child killed in that same shooting. Both families took Jones to court for causing emotional distress and defamation. Their lawyers say Jones' lies riled up his followers and encouraged them to harass the grieving families and even make death threats against them. In the past, Jones said the lawsuit was an attack on his First Amendment right to free speech. But during the trial, he admitted the shooting was 100% real, so it was wrong to have lied about it. His media company filed for bankruptcy during this 2-week trial. He now faces even more trials from other families who lost children at Sandy Hook. Once again, millions of Americans are in the middle of a record-breaking heat wave. It's happening in the Northeast. Already, the National Weather Service says Boston broke a record set in 1928 when it hit 97 degrees yesterday. It's expected to be hot around that area again today before things cool down a little bit tomorrow and then heat right back up on Sunday. Meanwhile, the middle of the country is still dealing with intense heat, like triple-digit heat. It's been like this for weeks in parts of Texas and Oklahoma. In fact, Wichita Falls, Texas, has seen 47 days in the hundreds so far this year. Of course, this means people are cranking up their ACs, and the United States is expected to use record amounts of power this year. All right, we have much more news for you still ahead. But first, a quick break for our sponsor, Thrive Cosmetics. I used to wear so much makeup when I worked for TV news every day, and it always felt so caked on. Well, now I'm happy to report that I get to choose to only wear the makeup I want when I want, and I choose a lot of Thrive Cosmetics products. They have high-performance beauty and skincare products made with clean ingredients. Right now, I am a huge fan of the Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. Not only does it lengthen my lashes, but it also supports healthier-looking lashes over time, and it's really easy to remove. I also love the Liquid Balm Lip Treatment. It's a leave-on serum that looks really glossy while also still moisturizing. Plus, cause is in the name for a reason. With their Bigger Than Beauty mission, every purchase supports organizations that help communities thrive. So now is a great time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/newsworthy. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS, thrivecosmetics.com/newsworthy for 15% off your first order. New research could one day have a big impact on the number of organs available for life-saving transplants. Some experts are calling it mind-blowing, but there are also some ethical concerns. So what happened? Researchers at Yale University successfully repaired some vital organs of pigs who had been dead for an hour. Their hearts started beating again, and they had some function in their lungs, livers, kidneys, and more. So it's challenging some previous ideas about what is and isn't irreversible. It could still be many years before this would even be tested in humans, but that is eventually the goal. And in the future, this breakthrough could be a game changer for the organ shortage. Still, one ethicist pointed out that this brings up some tricky questions around life and death. He said the critical question will be, at what point would the patients, even pigs, no longer be considered dead? It was the world's busiest day ever for space journeys, with 4 separate launches in one day. 2 of them on Thursday were particularly historic. For example, South Korea launched its very first moon mission with the help of American company SpaceX. Once on the moon, the satellite will collect geological data. It also has a camera for NASA that will study ice-filled craters. NASA is interested since the presence of water could mean they find a good spot for future astronaut outposts. Earlier in the day, 6 space tourists took a Blue Origin flight past the Earth's atmosphere and back. And that spaceflight made history because of its crew. A mountaineer named Vanessa O'Brien became the first woman to complete what's called the Explorer's Extreme Trifecta. And that means she has climbed Mount Everest, reached the deepest known point in the ocean, and now has been to space. 2 other crew members represented Egypt and Portugal and became the first from their countries to go to space. The other 2 launches of the day were a little more routine. The U.S. Space Force launched a missile warning satellite into orbit, and a small classified satellite was sent into space from New Zealand. 2 streaming services will merge into one, HBO Max and Discovery Plus. They're already owned by the same company after Warner Brothers and Discovery merged in April. The company has not yet revealed a name for the new platform, but the plan is to start the process of combining them in about a year. But even before that, they will start to share content. The new leadership is also apparently thinking about a free version with ads at some point. And this is the same company said to be making major budget cuts and was also behind the decision earlier this week to scrap the DC Comics film Batgirl and the latest Scooby-Doo movie. They were both supposed to debut on HBO Max. Football fans, the wait is over. The NFL preseason has officially kicked off. Last night's Hall of Fame game marked the first televised game in nearly 6 months. It pitted the Las Vegas Raiders against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Raiders dominated 27-11. That game did not just kick off the preseason, but it also marked the official beginning to the Hall of Fame weekend in Canton, Ohio. Tomorrow, there will be a parade and an induction ceremony for the 2022 Hall of Fame class. This year, 6 players, 1 coach, and for the first time, 1 referee will be enshrined into the hallowed halls. Perhaps the most well-known soon-to-be Hall of Famer is 3-time Super Bowl champion Richard Seymour, as well as other Super Bowl champs Bryant Young and Leroy Butler. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, a quick break for our sponsor. We here at The Newsworthy like to be your go-to place for news, where you can get a wide variety of stories all in one place and quickly. Well, Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place and quickly. Yep, when you need to hire great people fast, you need Indeed. They have time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. And in business, the people you find and hire make all the difference. It's clear Indeed is doing something right as a hiring partner because Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to data from Talent Nest in 2019. In fact, in the minute I'm talking about this with you, Indeed data worldwide shows 16 hires will be made on Indeed. And Indeed is doing something no other job site has done. Now with Indeed, businesses only pay for quality applications matching the sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/newsworthy to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/newsworthy. Indeed.com/newsworthy. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Now back to Feel Good Friday. A teenager in Kenya found a way to combine his passion for soccer with his desire to help the planet. Lucien Munkei started an initiative he calls Trees for Goals. Every time he scores a goal on the soccer field, he plants 11 trees, one to represent each member of his team. And he has other young athletes signing pledges to plant trees every time they score, too. So far, Trees for Goals has planted more than 5,500 indigenous trees in forests, at schools, and around soccer training grounds. Now, Munkei is hoping to get the attention of soccer's global governing body, FIFA, and some of the sport's biggest stars. As he put it, trees are better than trophies because trees grow alongside you. So it would be especially exciting if teams could measure their successes by the size of the forests they've planted, instead of the number of trophies they've won. He hasn't directly received a response from FIFA yet, but one Premier League team acknowledged his efforts by sending him an autographed jersey. All right, we will be back tomorrow with our special edition Saturday episode about monkeypox. You will hear directly from a doctor who had it. Both he and an epidemiologist help break down what to look out for and what your chances of exposure are with the various daily activities. Then join us again Monday for your next news roundup. For now, thank you so much for listening and have a great weekend.